Niners Bucks.
Probably.
The return of the long-awaited return for Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey 13 carries, 39 yards on the ground, but 6 catches for another 68 yards. Here's McCaffrey on his long-anticipated return.
You know, I'm just happy I'm here, man. I mean, that was a long journey and a lot of long days. So it feels good to win, and it feels good to just play in a football game again. But I try to stay even keel, and obviously there's a lot of emotion when you play an NFL football game. So I just try to let those come naturally, and you know. But definitely when you miss time due to something like that, and you know nobody wants to be on the field more than me. Just to be out there again, to be honest with you, is just you really realize how much of a privilege it is to play football.
That was Christian McCaffrey, very happy to be back, and Jay, quite frankly, the Niners happy to see him finally.
Yes, they did everything they could to try and lose that game.
Yes.
It should not have been close. 3 missed field goals.
Jake Moody's.
Yes.
Great
Deebo
return.
Samuel representing all 49ers bettors with his tirade on the sideline, which was much welcome. I think the thing with McCaffrey, even though it wasn't a great game on the ground, it was a great game through the air. And just most importantly, he looked like Christian McCaffrey. He looked like the same guy. It's a tough run defense. Wouldn't read too much into it. I think if he stays healthy, he's the #1 player in fantasy the rest of the way.
Yeah, for sure. Wheels up. I mean, I think the other thing is that there was some questions like, will they try to ease him back?
No.
The 49ers had 21 running back touches in this game. McCaffrey got 19 of them. So just, back to being Christian McCaffrey, RB1. So, listen, all of you 3 and 6 fantasy teams out there with McCaffrey that didn't draft Jordan Mason, here we go. Here we go.
Your season starts now.
The season starts now. You're going to go 7 and 6, squeeze into the playoffs at the last, and then make a run. There we go. We got you. San Francisco.
Big day for Brock Purdy. I
Yeah,
don't
it
know
was.
what that was. 353 yards and 2 touchdowns.
It was a sound.
What was that?
It was a sound effect. It was a
Make
sound
round sales.
I really didn't know how to get to
I
Brock
think
Purdy from
that's the
there.
noise that David Bowie made at the end of Ziggy Stardust.
Exactly.
David
It was a sound of disgust. And rather than trying to articulate how frustrated I am with not only Christian McCaffrey's injury for the first 9 weeks of the season, but also how the 49ers handled it, how the 49ers mentioned it to the public, how the reporting was on it, the very questionable and ultimately inaccurate reporting around his injury. That noise was meant to encapsulate all of that frustration on my behalf and fantasy managers everywhere. So there you go.
Conveyed
You're
it
welcome,
very
America.
accurately.
Thank you. You're welcome, America.
Brock Purdy was magnificent. Connor,
big game.
He wasn't the reason that the game was still in the balance at the end. He had one bad play with a fumble, but he was really good. He dominated the Bucs last year. Very suspect secondary, obviously. He was excellent again today. And Brock Purdy with a full complement of weapons, which he has now outside of Ayuk, who's not coming back. He's a QB1 type of player in fantasy and in real life. And Matthew, the big beneficiary through the air yesterday was Jauan Jennings.
32% target share in the 2 games without either Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk. When one of those 2 guys isn't there, he's got at least a 36% target share. Now, it's only 2 games. It's a small sample size, but still, Jauan Jennings has the ability to earn targets. He got 11 targets in this game compared with 7 for McCaffrey, 6 for Deebo, 6 for Ricky Pearsall. We'll talk about in a second here. 4 of the 5 games that Jauan Jennings has gotten at least 5 targets this season, he's averaging double-digit fantasy points, 11 or more fantasy points in 4 of the 5 games with at least 5 targets, and looks the part. That's the other thing. We talked about this. If the 49ers win the Super Bowl last year, there's an argument to be made that he should have been the MVP. Whenever Jauan Jennings has gotten an opportunity to produce, he does. When he gets an opportunity, and obviously with the season-ending injury to Brandon Ayuk, he's going to continue to get opportunities. A game like this does nothing but make me think, he's a borderline wide receiver 2-3. I think, given how good Purdy is playing, how good this offense is, and now again, when you're a defensive coordinator, between Kittle and Deebo and CMC and now Jennings, it's like pick your poison.
Oh, Pearsall had
and
first touchdown.
Pearsall had a great game too. But I would still prefer, if both guys were available on my waiver wire, I would pick Jennings over Pearsall.
It's not close.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
I think ultimately the way it's going to be is Jennings is going to play more of the Ayuk role, and that Pearsall is going to play more of the the Jennings role.
Yes.
And so there are games where Jennings is going to have a random game where he's 4 for 42 or whatever, and it's not super exciting because there just are so many mouths in that offense.
That's the point,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But he's, to me, somebody that I think you can start with confidence every single week. Now, obviously, it was a great matchup against Tampa Bay, but still, I don't think this is a fluke for Jauan Jennings. And Pearsall was really nice, great story as well for him to get in the end zone. But a lot of it came on the one big play.
Yep.
On the Bucs side of things, guys, the only noteworthy aspect here, besides Baker Mayfield having what felt like his first real tough day of the season, is Bucky Irving's
He's
volume
got no one
stays
out there.
No,
I feel
tough.
so bad for Baker Mayfield. This team is better. I feel bad for the Buccaneers, by the way. They're 4-5, and they're a lot better than that. Are they 4-5 or 4-6?
4-6.
They're 4-6. They're a better team than 4-6.
Well, they butchered kind of both Atlanta games.
Yeah,
they should have beaten the Chiefs at the end if they'd managed the clock better and perhaps gone for 2. So yeah, I think that they're a deeply flawed team, but they get Mike Evans back after the bye. They'll be able to still potentially make a run in the NFC to get to the playoffs. But Baker Mayfield, yes, not his best day, but his best moment. Stiff-arming Nick Bosa was absolutely magnificent. I have no idea why Nick Bosa didn't just drop to the ground and pull him down with him and just continue to maybe I'll just run 50 yards and push him out of bounds.
Because that would have been that would have been a drop.
Worried about the hip drop tackle?
Hip drop tackle.
I know, but there's other ways he could have tried to bring him down. But Baker Mayfield, strong man. If they'd won that game, that would have been an all-time play to convert 4
It
from
is,
7.
but it still was it's an unbelievable play that I'm sure you've seen online and everything like that. But if not, look it up as well. But yeah, look, Bucky Irving, we were half right on Bucky Irving. Like the argument in the preseason, we talked about him as he was a sleeper for me. He was a sleeper for the table here. We liked him a lot, and we didn't really love Rachaad White. And we're saying, I'm telling you, Bucky Irving's like the better running back. So we were right in this sense. Bucky Irving is the better running back. He is the best running back on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's the better running back. Another nice game for Bucky Irving. He's now had at least 15 fantasy points in 4 of the past 5. He got 48% of the team's running back rushes. That's the second highest rate this season. He's getting the workload, especially with all the injuries to wide receiver. Now 16 touches in 2 of the past 3 games. So that's the part we were right in. That just from a talent standpoint, this is the best guy they got. The part we were wrong in is that we thought Todd Bowles would recognize how inefficient Rachaad White is and he would lose his role, and he hasn't. Rachaad White continues to be out there. And in fairness to Rachaad White, he's played better than I think recently he's stepped up. He made a couple of nice plays in this game as well. But anyway, it was just I don't know that you can count on 17.7 fantasy points from Bucky Irving, especially once they get. But still no Godwin and Bucky Irving I think is going to remain on the flex radar as well. Just another nice game for him. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotorworld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.